Hi, everybody. This is Liz Merrill. I'm with Open Space Mediation, and I'm here with Noah Kowaloff with the Boundless Empath. And we're going to talk today about empathy and what an empath is, and about Noah's work, and get to know him a little bit better. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So, Noah, why don't you talk a little bit about you and your backstory and what you do and who you help.
Absolutely. I'm such a pleasure to be here, Liz. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Um, so I work with empaths who are visionaries, entrepreneurs, coaches, people who really are big thinkers, big dreamers, wanting to leave the world a better place than how they got how it was when they got here.
Mm,
And you may be asking, what's an empath? Well, empaths, other people have referred to them as highly sensitive people. And they tend to be people who are really sensitive to the world around them. I'm an empath, so I'm going to say we moving forward. And we are very intuitive and so tuned into the people and the world around us that we actually can pick up other people's emotions and feel different states based on those around us. We're very much influenced around by the people, especially those close to us, but even sometimes not. Like sometimes being at like a crowded mall can just be completely overstimulating for an empath because
mm,
there's just so much energy. Like we all give off different energies of our emotion, of our stress level, of just how we're showing up in the if I'm laid back or if I'm really intense. Like there's all different, you know there's energy that we give off, and it's I basically have a satellite dish that, if I'm not careful, will bring in the energies of people from all around me. And
yeah.
um, one of the biggest things that we empaths struggle with is boundaries. And the name of my company being the Boundless Empath,
Mm,
there's such an interplay between the word boundless and boundaries. And
yeah.
I think that because an empath can feel so big outside of his or her body, that's what makes us boundless in spirit. We have this boundless, just beautiful ability to care, to love, to heal, to connect with other people.
Hmm.
Um, and often that goes without building boundaries properly,
Mm,
which is where we get in trouble. And
mm,
so, what I do in my work is I help empaths who are, like I said, visionaries. Visionaries want to be, um, want their that boundless energy. They want to be out there with their work. Um, and so I help them to balance the boundless with the boundaries. I also help them to get to, create their goals and meet their goals while maintaining their own autonomy, and I help them to feel safe to succeed. A lot of people hear about, the fear of failure, but fear of success is equally, if not more powerful. This
mm,
comes in the forms of perfectionism, of um, imposter syndrome, um, of feeling like if I get to the next level in my success, it's only a matter of time before I lose it all or the other shoe is going to drop. Um,
people are going to discover I'm a fake.
yeah, people think I'm a fake. Sometimes it's even like archetypal, like, oh, they'll burn me at the stake. Like it's not a literal thing, but like there's that sort of, Carl Jung archetype of
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna be burnt at the stake like a witch. Like,
It
um,
gives you that much anxiety.
exactly. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be killed for my mission. Um, and also, you know, a lot of the times I'm helping people break through past trauma,
Mhm.
because one of the biggest things that gets in our way of moving forward is our past. And
Yeah. So
like,
you had mentioned empaths getting into trouble in relationships, and I see that a lot, and just in my personal life and also in my professional life.
I bet.
People who um, people who are helpers and who want to heal and who want to nurture, um, often are attracted, um, to people who need that, and sometimes that can be healthy, but sometimes you get caught in this sort of codependent loop with somebody who can take advantage of that and create this trauma bond that, in this narrative and this sort of habitual kind of neural pathway that,
Mhm.
that keeps you in there. And if you have a hard time with boundaries, and somebody that you're with wants to push those boundaries or doesn't want you to have boundaries, you really can get in a lot of trouble. So, and like I said, I see that all the time, and I'm sure you see that all the time too. So,
Mhm.
one of the things that I think about a lot, for myself and for my children and for people that I work with, is how do you help people set up boundaries that are reasonable and attainable and manageable. And do you ever have people who are trying to do that but are getting a lot of resistance from their partner or people in their lives? And how do you support that?
That's an excellent question. And I think, um, yeah, I really like how you mentioned like the the people, and I don't think this is the exact words you use, but the givers, you
Hmm.
know, like empath or not, there's a lot of people who are just, that's how they show their love. They give. And I think one of the things that is really helpful in figuring out how to build boundaries is like, what are your boundaries? What are your non-negotiables?
Mm,
You know, and sometimes, unfortunately, the way to find a boundary is to cross it.
hmm.
And that doesn't have to be the case all the time. But, you know, sometimes you don't know something's an edge until someone crosses that for you. And hopefully that those instances are, you know, not the major boundaries. Hopefully those are the more minor ones. Um, so I think a good thing to do is to take inventory of what's important to you
Hmm.
and how you want to be treated, you know, because I think a lot of people, especially those who really give a lot of themselves, they don't, they tend not to think of themselves because they're over giving, and over giving is beautiful, don't get me wrong. And the notion of, um, it's when you start getting resentful or you feel like you're being taken advantage of, like those are the red flags to look out for. And also to just be aware of like, when, you know, trust your gut when something happens and part of you is like, oh wait, I don't know about this, that doesn't feel right.
Hmm.
I think it's really easy for us to ignore that and say, oh well,
Yeah.
yeah, or to rationalize, oh he didn't mean it, or yeah, she
Yeah.
was having a rough day. I
Hmm.
mean, I was in a relationship with a narcissist for 4 years, and I was that overgiver, and
Yeah.
you
It's so
know,
easy for like your boundaries to just be chipped away at little by little, and
gradually,
before you know it, you're just being treated like a doormat and
precisely.
trying to figure out, is it your fault? why is this happening? Is there something I'm not doing? Should I try harder?
And you're probably being gaslit also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the narcissist in some ways needs the empath.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it definitely needs the empath, but it's like a drug.
Yeah.
The narcissist, the empath is the narcissist's hit. It's his or her supply.
Mm-hmm.
And because narcissists feed on, do you know where the term narcissist comes from?
I do, and I haven't really talked about that much, but here's an interesting aside. I am an oboe player. I've been playing oboe all my life. There's a really famous piece by Benjamin Britten called Six Metamorphoses After Ovid, and he wrote these stories, and one of them is about Narcissus and about him looking into the pond and seeing himself and falling in love with himself. And the music is really interesting because it's like the boy and the reflection, and the boy and the reflection, and they come, like, gradually they come together as one, and he turns into that flower.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's
then
the
at the same
narcissist.
time, I forget who the woman in the story was, but there was a woman who she'd lost her voice and she could only
Echo.
speak. Echo.
Was it
That's right. Echo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then she could only speak what was just said. And so narcissist is looking in the mirror and what is it? Echo is,
I don't remember her story very much.
there's an interplay where he's like looking in the mirror and he's like, I'm so beautiful, or you're so beautiful. And Echo says, you're so beautiful. And he thinks that the voice of the mirror.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it is. And so
that is interesting.
Echo is playing this role of supporting narcissist. And that's leading him to fall more in love with himself.
It's the narcissistic supply, right? Like,
and so the myth, the interplay between Echo and narcissist is very very telling, even in the modern world.
Yeah. It's interesting how there are these through lines between religion and mythology and stories that connect through all different cultures, because we're all human and we all have a lot of the same, many of the same issues, regardless of where we live or what time we're living in. So I loved what you said, just going back to boundaries, about identifying what your boundaries are. That's such a good place to start, because in these relationships, sometimes it, like I said, it just chips and chips and chips and chips away. And before you know it, you're like, what the hell is happening here? I didn't grow up like I sometimes you did. I mean, I think that if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, that can also go back to your childhood in the same way it goes back to a narcissist's childhood. But yeah, I mean, I think if you are able, before this even starts happening, to say, okay, I'm not going to be talked to disrespectfully, or I'm definitely not ever going to be touched in an aggressive way, or or whatever, then you have that in your mind. And if something happens, you've already decided that is there, and you'll be able to act on it, rather than thinking it through in your head, like, was that okay? Or what am I imagining that he just said that, or whatever? So that must be something that you work on with your clients.
At times, I think another big piece is working through the past trauma. Because it's that past, it may be the past trauma from growing up. It may be trauma from, I've worked with people who are have divorced from the narcissist and are not in that day in, day out with them, but also, you know, there's still lasting effects. And really what it all comes down to is self-love and self-respect, and really honoring not just you, but that inner child. And I know that term is cliched in some circles, but it's true. It's like you were saying, Liz, if you're at a place in life where it's okay for people to mistreat you, had to learn that somewhere. And it doesn't matter where you learned it. You can learn new brain patterns, you can unlearn, you can reparent yourself. And you know, this is deep work, and it affects every area of life. You know, if you think about in career and finance, like the person who is working off of that wounded blueprint is going to either spend their whole life pushing themselves, you know, triple, quadruple extra hard to feel okay about themselves, or maybe they're not going to try at all. But either way, they're really up against that trauma response and up against messaging that isn't true. And it breaks my, I was just gonna say, it breaks my heart how many people walk around all day, every day, living their life according to false messaging.
Yeah, they are so, people who find you are so lucky, you know, because it's true. You can. I mean, I see people doing it all the time, and one of the most heartbreaking things is the people who can't see it, or who are not open to or ready for healing, because a lot of times people, you know, cling to parts of their identity, even if they're unhealthy or destructive for them, because it's comforting, you know, it's what they've known all their lives. And it is really, really hard to start breaking through those, you know, those lies that they've been told about themselves, or that they tell themselves. So I imagine when people come to you, they have to A, have recognized it, and B, be ready to sort of make some changes and improve their connection with the world and themselves.
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases. I also think that you know, like I said earlier, that the narcissist uses the empath as a supply of praise and validation. The empath does the same with the narcissist. Which is the interesting thing, is that the empath gets a benefit from being needed. And it's like, oh, I'm helping, I have a place, he or she needs me. And there actually becomes a pride sometimes, like where would they be without me? And you know, we can ride that train of pride for way too long, where it's like they need me, meanwhile I'm not being treated right, but at least I'm needed.
Oh, for sure, for
And
sure. I
this
mean,
isn't
that
just
addiction
romantic.
kind of goes both ways, right?
Yeah, and it's not just in romance. I mean, I've seen it in careers and in workplace, like in families, like in friendships. But I think what's exciting is knowing that you can take these qualities of you as an empath, and that when applied in, I don't want to say the right, because that sounds like I'm passing judgment, but when applied in a way that serves you, they become superpowers.
Mm. Well, Noah, can you talk a little bit about any case studies from your practice that might sort of illuminate what we're talking about?
Sure. I worked with one woman who had been in a really abusive marriage and ugly divorce. And the effects of her, like when we started working together, her ex was still occupying a lot of her thoughts. And in many ways, she was just struggling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And she had things she wanted to do, but just didn't feel, I don't know if she didn't feel capable or she was just overwhelmed by it all. And I think she was also just holding on to a lot of, the trauma. And I think that's really what it was, is a lot of the trauma and abuse and neglect was holding her back, holding her down.
Yeah.
You're not going to run as fast when you have a bunch of things on your shoulders, right?
Right. It's very
And
true.
so, we worked together, and within a few months, and it was deep, intense work. We were facing a lot of her things head on.
Mm.
It involved coaching, it involved energy healing, it involved doing some spiritual work. Like it was, we brought in the big guns. And
Yeah, it sounds pretty
um,
comprehensive.
yeah, thank you. And she got unstuck and went from telling me that she was afraid to live alone and that she hated where she was living, but she was afraid to live alone, to buying her own house.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, and um, and really to starting to feel like, when talking about her narcissistic ex, like he may not like it, but that's his problem. Like such a strong empowerment.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was I am so proud of this woman.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. Especially when you are able to, coming from that kind of situation, make a decision for yourself and not care what that other person thinks. Because you finally internalize that what they think you don't have any control over, you
Not
know?
her
So
responsibility.
there's no point in trying to contort yourself or, and make decisions based on how that other person is going to respond. It's just
It's
separate.
freedom.
Yeah, and
It's freedom.
as soon as you can separate yourself, I mean, the whole thing opens up, right? You're in a different place, and it seems like such a simple thing to do, but it is hard as you've seen to really get to the point where you've internalized that.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
um I this person inspires me big time.
Mm. Oh, I love that. Well, Noah, tell us about your practice and where people can find you, and what you if you have any kind of special offers or
Mhm.
yeah.
Sure. So I can be found at theboundlessempath.com.
Okay.
I am also on Clubhouse at sign N0AH.
Okay.
Um, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram at coach_Noah_K.
Okay.
And I would like to offer a free 60-minute soul alignment assessment session where we can really connect, see where you are with your goals, where you want to be, and take a look at what's in between, and I can give you some great recommendations. And this is truly my gift to whoever wants to take me up on it. And the website for that is TBE, as in the Boundless Empath, tbe.as.me/gift. And
Okay.
we can put this in writing for people somewhere.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments section so
Absolutely.
people can just click on it.
And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or see if I can be of service to any of the beautiful people who might watch this.
Oh, that's a very generous offer, and I hope lots of people take you up on it, because there's a huge, huge need for what you do. There are a lot of people out there that really need the support.
Thank you, Liz. Likewise.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming this morning onto my Zoom room and talking to me about this. It's really, I've been talking a lot about other aspects of narcissism, and this is a really nice balance for that. And I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. This has been nothing short of a delight.
Yay. All right. Well, everybody take care.
Thank you.